What is going on? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It is almost noon on Saturday, right around the time that I post. We like to do one of these videos once per week to talk about where I see NIO going. These are just my thoughts and my opinion. I'm here to kind of let you guys know where I see things going. If you missed my last week's video, definitely check it out because I'm not going to really cover too much about the velocity, but we will be talking about the velocity indicator today. And if you get lost, go back, watch my last week's video. We drop one of these videos once per week. And as always, do your own due diligence, do your own research if we're making a big financial decision. This is just my opinion. I've been wrong in the past before. Sorry, I kind of was talking like a madman there. I like to talk like a madman really fast. So just get that out of the way so we can just talk about NIO. It looks good from the chart. Here's a couple points that I want to make. It looks a lot like this. Fight me on this, argue me on this. I think it looks very, 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 very similar. I think the structures look kind of very similar to me. They just look so similar to me. Now, one thing that I want to point out to you here is notice how it kind of crawled up and then I gave you a big knife. I think that's a possibility here, actually. Crawling up, you might get that big knife. How big was that knife? It was, for this one, it was a 7% day. So I think if we see that, it would kind of almost confirm my suspicion that we're getting kind of a similar technical structure. You would call it a fractal that's playing out for the fractal people that are big into fractals. And some of you may ask, what is a fractal? I mean, I'm not an expert, but if I were to kind of take that bar pattern and kind of put it out here, something like that. Something like that. And in fact, sorry, I did it wrong. I would want to do from here all the way to there. You'd want to kind of do it like that. And of course, I'm manipulating it a little bit. But just this portion of it, I feel like could be playing out and you could get that big, big, big move up. Now, disregard all of this as to how high it's going. We'll talk about that after. So let's talk about facts. Lower low. Is that a higher low? Maybe. It kind of gave you a wave. To be honest, I'm looking for more something like this for a higher low. And to get that, you would need that big drop, that big poof. And I think that makes sense before a big run to look for that. A big run, you'd get that big oomph, that big sweep of the lows, that big knife. Now, when I look at the 24-hour time frame, I made the call out that I'm giving it 2 weeks. I'm rescinding that statement and saying it's got another 2 to 3 weeks. Why, you ask? Well, when I reviewed last week and I looked to see how much the 200-day moving average dropped, it didn't drop that much. I thought it would drop more. It actually only dropped it went from I think right over here all the way to there. So it didn't drop much. So if I were to say if it dropped like that at the same rate and same pace, and even it was a short week, but so if I extended it out, even if we got nothing in sideways price action, it's still set up to make a higher low. And even if I did that again, I'm trying to, do you see what I'm saying? So over the next 2 weeks, even if it's there for 2 weeks, it maintained this rate and, it's got 1 to 2 weeks still. So I would add another week to that. So I still think it's going to be between 2 and 3 weeks before this thing goes. It could go as soon as Monday, and I'll give you a reason as to why it might go as soon as Monday. So let's erase the drawings. Our little mini rally to $5. Now, if you pay attention to that number in the red box, it says 8 bars. Pardon me, 8 bars. Starting next week is the 9th bar. Now, I want to show you something. Just if you were to go back here, take a look at that 9th bar. Where were we here? Pretty much bottom out. Now, it didn't do anything until 2 weeks after before it started to move higher. And I think this one was on a shorter side. It was 7 bars. Notice on the 7th bar, it started moving. 7th 2-week candle, which is the 98 days. Whereas here, it took around 130 days, which I believe is coming up. It's coming up soon. It's coming up very, very soon. And you could take a look over and over and over and over again. You'll find that this pattern plays out. There's the 9th bar on the 2-week candle. Here we go. 8th bar, ninth bar, eighth bar, ninth bar. Like this repeats multiple times. Now, sometimes you only get 7 bars, actually. I think this one's an anomaly here. There we go. From the top to bottom, ninth bar. Okay. I mean, you can even go right back here. 8 bar, ninth bar. Now, ninth bar was a negative week, actually. It wasn't until the 10th week that it got there, but you got to give yourself some leeway. And again, right over here. So this is sometimes you get 7. Those are the really like, okay, 7, and then you get a run. And I think this was another ninth, a 9 bar. Boom. You get a move. So that's all I'm gonna say. Is there's a case to be made that this thing could run actually, and as soon as Monday. But I think it doesn't have to. Whereas I said it needs 2 weeks. I painted a scenario, 2 scenarios. If it doesn't run in the next 2 weeks, it's going to only going to peak at 550. I still think that scenario will play out, but it has more time. I grossly underestimated how fast that 200-day moving average was dropping. It's not dropping as fast as I expected it to drop, and what I anticipate is it's got about 2 weeks. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, and one thing I'm going to point out to you that it did do is it did break the velocity on the 200-day moving average from here to here, actually, which is telling me that, look, despite it going, the price being below, we've got a break actually here on the velocity. So it tells me that it wants to break above it. That's another positive sign here. What I do want to see though, the way it's kind of structuring, it reminds me so much of this. It kind of rides up. I think you'll get that knife. It's going to shake some people out possibly, and that will give it the rocket power and fuel for it to kind of just go boom, run. I go into the 4-hour time frame here. It's starting to curl up on that 200-day moving average, which looks great. On the 2-hour time frame, 2-hour time frame actually tells a different story, that we might see that knife. And the reason why is when I see this, when I see it start steadily rising like this, oftentimes what I see is I see it eventually cracking and breaking. And when it does crack and break, it gives you that sharp dip. So it might do like something like that. And when you get that, that's like, okay, time to buy. Like you're going to get like a really good discount, a really good buy, I think could be along the way. Potentially. Doesn't have to, but that's potentially. 1-hour time frame. Let's erase the charts. It's just constantly wanting to rise higher here. And take a look. You have this, by the way. There's liquidity up here, by the way, at 380, just by drawing that trend line out. And I can see on that one, it wants it. It wants it bad. It's broken out once. You could say it's broken out. I mean, you want to call that twice. Potentially it's ready to go, or you want to call that twice. Either way, it's above both of them, actually. You got the 1 and 2 on the 1 hour, actually, which is great. On the 2 hour, I think I talked about this before previously, and I said, like, let's see. Make sure I get that. Neat. There was your 1. And I talked about like this previously. I'm like, is that your 2? Like, was that your bottom? It might have been. And it's just slow riding up. Could that have been the bottom? Right? Started to give you that 1 knife. That could have been the 334. And it's ready to go. Now, let's just say you don't want to call this part a lower high, but you want to go from here. Either way you look at it, it's looking like it's ready to go. 1. 2, how could you be bearish on this? The bears, I'm going to tell you right now, because I've been around, I've been following NIO and dropping my analysis on, for those of you that don't know, I've been doing my analysis and sharing my opinions on NIO since way back here, actually, in December of 2023. It kind of caught my eye when, I did miss this rally here. I started watching NIO and I'm like, holy crap, like it had this giant rally. It was like 150% rally. But I knew how much retail attention it got. And I was doing some technical analysis at the time, and I was like, things are kind of a little weird. And I got really into it right around here. And so since then, I've been tweeting about it. And then I think we started doing videos we started dropping videos right around last year, I think. We've been doing videos once per week on this for almost a year straight, actually. And so this rally, you can probably find videos on YouTube of it. This rally, you'll find my videos on YouTube on there. And even this entire thing, you'll see it. And there was a lot of people who attacked me when I got bearish here, actually. And then when I flipped bullish, big point that I'm trying to make here is not to just talk about me, is to talk about how, and I remember very clearly around this time, all the bears came out and said, it's so gonna go like down. It's gonna go down. Specifically when it was near its lowest point. That's when the bears were the loudest. And they're like, NIO sucks. It's going lower. Da, 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 da. And there was several people out there that were the bulls and the technicals were like, no, that's not the case. It's going to move. And they weren't necessarily wrong. It did make a bigger move up. It made a huge move up, actually. I mean, some people won't say that's a huge, but like in a stocks perspective, moving up 30%, 7%. I mean, there are some people who just tapped out and sold out, and they missed out on a 37% move to the upside. Now, it's those exact same bears here that are over here, and they're saying it's toast. It's going to go down. NIO doesn't know what they're doing until the fundamentals line up and they make money and they start selling more cars. It's just going to go straight down. I'm here to wholeheartedly disagree, and that I'm calling for that rally. The rally's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And so let's clear this out here. I believe that's what's in the works here for NIO. I love what I see here from a pricing perspective. The price targets all remain the same. It needs to get above 409, and we want to get above 550. We will cross those bridges after we get above that, but above 550, which is kind of like the previous high, that's when things start like heating up. That's when we're going to get like that really, really big move, actually. So now below, we have a pretty big level at 304. And below that, well, it's going to be 2. We're not there yet. And the bears are saying, oh, yeah, it's going to go straight to 2. Just forget about it. If it does that, it's going to at least give you a run up into 409, potentially 550. It would do something like this before you got that. And where did we last see that? Right over here. Where else have we seen that? Right over here. So those short rallies will happen before you get the big explosive move to the downside. But I don't believe it's going to be a short rally this time. And why? The last time NIO got a higher low on the 200-day moving average was last year. And it's in the works. If it does that, it'll be the first time since last year, August, that it made a higher low on the 200-day moving average on the velocity, which signals kind of something changing here. And when it did do that, you got a really nice run. You got a 112% run. Where would that take NIO? Pretty much back right up here, essentially. I think that's coming. I still believe that. And I think the timeline is longer. I'm going to extend that out longer. Not another week. If I made anybody nervous about that, it needs 2 weeks and then it's going to go down. I grossly overestimated how fast that was going to drop. It didn't drop as fast at velocity, so I think it's at least 2 more weeks. Okay. BABA. Now, there's not really much to say. It's the same as last week here. It's looking good. You might get that knife down and then boom and rally, but that's all I got to share with you. All I want to get clear to most people who are watching is I am 99% in my own self-confident, and I could be wrong. I think overconfidence is wrong, but I'm very confident you're not going to get that big move down. I'm confident. Now, I'll be first to come out and say if I'm wrong that does happen, but from what I see, I don't think that's what's happening here. You'll get that move up first. And so a worst case scenario, sideways, maybe gives you a knife, and we get a lower 200-day moving average on the 24 hours. You're still going to get that move up. 409, maybe even 550, and then it comes down. Maybe you get like this big crash. That's a worst case scenario, which is still pretty good if you're a bull. Come on now. That's great. Don't listen to the bears. Even on a worst case scenario, you're thinking between 18 and 50% upside. Any other person would be like, hell yeah, like that's awesome for a worst case scenario. I mean, yeah, the worst case is you do eventually come down into a 40% from these levels, but not before you get that run. Okay, that's my opinion. Going to Baba. If you look at Baba's had explosive runs every single time, like literally parabolic runs, like boom, to then be, pull back. And then the next one was even more explosive. Is this next one going to be more explosive? Actually, I drew out this parallel channel here. I just want to point out to you that the velocity, which is the white line, is below the 200-day moving average, but it's still forming a higher low on that. The same thing for NIO. It's potentially forming that higher low. And when it finally breaks above, this is when things are going to start going for NIO. Oh, sorry, pardon me, Baba. And Baba going up is a good thing generally for China and NIO. But I mean, NIO and Baba, you can see it was red and NIO is green. I mean, like, you're going to get that run on NIO, I think. It's about goddamn time. Baba might drop another $10 potentially if things go bad, but it would find a long-term major support, and I think it would just go completely vertical. When Baba runs, it's going to go like vertical like this. That's what I think will happen. And I'm still eyeing like that 180, 190 zone for Baba. I think it's possible. Baba can like basically run almost 100%. I think that's what NIO can do too. It's in the cards here for NIO. It's time for the NIO bulls. It's been long enough, you guys. It's been long enough. I mean, it's only been a year technically, which is in the stock's perspective, it isn't a very long time. But for those of you that waited 5 months only for this 30% rally, and now another 3 to 4 months here, which in total would have been 8 and 9 months, it's time. Maybe 10 months. It's time for this thing to explode. Okay. That's my analysis on NIO. That's my analysis on Baba. I still like them both. I like them both. Hang Seng Index. Here's a review. Guys, this is a review, by the way. I was doing the analysis earlier. When you get a breakout, it consolidates before it explodes, especially bigger breakouts. But it doesn't have to be a big breakout. Let's look again at Hang Seng Index. We have here a breakout. It is consolidating in this new trend line here. And when it's ready, it will explode back, I believe, to the upside, which I ended up going back and I ended up redrawing kind of where I think and see it potentially going. I do believe the upside target will be 26,000 on the Hang Seng Index. But I think that would be selling yourself short. And I think it's time to see that vertical rally into 30,000 for China. I think it's time. Another 25% rally upside. Something big is going to brew. Something big is coming. Either way, 26 is, if it gets 26, I think almost every single bull will be happy. And I think that's what's coming. It's a coming. Just have to be patient. US dollar, I mean, each week it surprises me how it's like it went almost as low as 96.350, gave you a little pop. Is this going to run or is it going to crash lower down to 91? When I look at it, I think that might have been it. Like this was the big swoop lower and the possible last drop. And I think it's about time for the US dollar to make that rally actually. So it's long overdue. I'm having my eyes on that. 96 is quite low. So for those of you who are sitting in cash positions, I mean, you would have noticed your portfolio would have dropped like by 3 or 4% over the past couple of months if you're sitting in cash. And I think that will change very soon. Did we look at the Hang Seng? We looked at the Hang Seng. We looked at Dixie. I am going to look quickly at Bitcoin only because it's like all over my feed, all of my news feed. Maybe it's because I follow a couple of Bitcoin people, but this is my point. This is my opinion. I believe this is the exact same thing as this. They're both at the top of the resistance. your double top, and I think that's what's happening here. And if I'm wrong, I think it's pretty. I kind of cringe and roll my eyes when people are preemptively calling for 170, and I see it. Yes, I see that. But in order for you to do that, you want to see the breakout above the parallel channel. It's failed to do it here, and it didn't even do it there. It fell short. And it failed to do it here. It didn't do it here. If you're a big bull on Bitcoin and you think it's going to 170 or 180 or wherever to million, I don't care what the number is, you can't, in my eyes, get that bullish until you see that confirmation of a breakout, which is 114. So if next week, over the next couple of weeks, you start seeing Bitcoin rise another 5-6%, and it goes to 113, it goes to 114, which would technically set like new highs and certainly get people thinking like it's going to the moon, just know if it comes to resistance, unless it breaks above that resistance, which is even as high as like 115, 116, it could go and do this. Rise. Everyone's like, oh my God, I missed out on Bitcoin. Let me slam and buy some Bitcoin. And you would get basically a repeat of this. And you would come right down into 75 or 74 or however long it is. That's a possibility. So I do cringe and I do roll my eyes and I say, like, hold your horses. You haven't gotten a break. It's at a critical level. It's at resistance. The SPY. To be honest, this definitely caught me off guard here. I don't really know how to really call it, because right now you essentially have this cup and this breakout, like, which is insane, because the measured move on that, the fact that it took out previous highs, and anytime you see that, you could measure the move just using Fibonacci's, and it's disgusting. I'm disgusted with how, like, that drop. Like, it could go to 673. That is disgusting. That is the measured move. Like, there's your cup. Essentially, that's a cup. Broke up. You'd get maybe a retest. 670, like, disgusting. Potentially 700. Like, you're going to see something big. And then, of course, I mean, everyone's expecting that crash, but it might be a while till you see it. Personally, I'm not chasing this thing. I'm waiting for this thing to come lower, but we're out of time here. So we're not going to dive deep with this. SPY is not usually something that we talk about, but that's it. That's all. I hope you guys enjoyed my analysis. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask the questions in the comment section below. Don't forget to slam the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to actually get notifications for when these videos go live. And that's it. That's all, guys. I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. And cheers.